The plateau, straight-on, symmetrical way that Wes shoots things feels like a graphic novel. It feels like a presentation. The colors, the way he lights things. He has exactly what he wants in mind.
And he fools you sometimes into thinking that this is so formal, the shots are so formal, the camera moves are so formal, it might squash emotion or it might squash spontaneity, and it has the exact opposite effect. You feel comfortable in his visual style, and you know you're going to be surprised all the time with whatever he's doing.
When I first read this script, it was clear to me that every sentence, as I read the first 30 pages, was an entirely new set. And I knew right away that that's something that came from animation, where every shot is its own set. And that kind of attention to microscopic detail on each shot and each beat of the scene is something that he was going to bring to live action.
For the visual base of the film, the costume and the sets and everything, it's all from research. And how do we shape the research into our story? Because you want to try to give it as much authenticity as you can.
One thing that Wes does is he sets up a library of DVDs and Blu-rays that we all access. Most of them were films from the Nouvelle Vague, the French New Wave, and a lot of the films I had never seen before. So the first thing I do is try to immerse myself in the world.
And then we had a photographic library as well of reference photos from, you know, the turn of the century all the way until the 70s, and the way Paris, which Ennui was loosely based on, and they gave us a good idea of what Wes was going for.
The biggest challenge on this movie was volume, actually. I mean, it because it wasn't one movie. It was, you know, it's all these different stories interrelated, and so each one of those stories needed all of its sets.
I mean, how many sets are there in this film?
Oh God, a lot. I think we were up in the 130 range.
There's a very long sequence that we film when we first enter the police station. That set is a character, and it's also a filmmaking device. It's almost a piece of the camera in the way that we use it and in the way that, you know, the dolly works through it. And so it's designed, yes, as a backdrop to the scene, and yes, as a place, but it's also designed as a very specific filmmaking tool for Wes Anderson.
Police cooking began with the stakeout picnic and paddy wagon snack, but is evolved and codified into something refined, intensely nourishing, and, if executed properly, marvelously flavorful.
The whole idea was to make it a little bit mysterious at first, and we were shooting black and white, and, you know, Jeffrey Wright is kind of walking through the police station. Finally, he finds it, and our key grip Sanjay had set up this amazing dolly, which two tracks. There's one that goes in and out and one that goes sideways, and we were switching the dolly in and out. It's a very intricate setup. Jeffrey Wright has a dialogue throughout this whole thing, and we have to make our moves kind of keyed by what he's saying, obviously. It was a real challenge for us, and we all love doing those kinds of shots. When you can pull it off, you really get a sense of you know, kind of exhilaration. The bare bones of that set we found at the Felt Factory.
And that became a de facto like film studio in the center of town. It had 3 or 4 warehouses where we had a construction shop, model making shop, and a couple of shooting stages where we could set things up.
I mean, it really became an actual film studio, totally from scratch, without even electricity when we walked in the door.
Adam Stockhausen's set design was so amazing. Like, every little thing that he got just from my kitchen was so extravagant and detailed, and old, like the stove and all these kind of ancient kind of kitchen tools were everywhere.
That was a wonderful location. It was in France, and so there was a wealth of amazing French things to buy for these sets. So I found all of the copper cookware and the ovens and all of just anything I could possibly want was at a flea market, and I would go once a month and bring all of that in.
With Milena, the costume designer, color becomes such a key part of how the story is told, you know, and just making sure that those things balance out together and come out the way that Wes is expecting is a constant process together.
Melina, I mean, what's to say? She is incredible.
You show up and you're wearing your t-shirt and your sweater and your pants, and it's like, what amazing thing are they going to turn us into today? And Melina and Wes communicate almost silently and invisibly, but they so understand what they want.
He wants to work with filmmakers, and someone like Milena makes the films that she works on as much as the director does, as much as anybody who's designing or photographing or in the film.
Each character is so distinct, is so spot on, according to her sensibilities and Wes's sensibilities.
Rolling. Roll it. Freeze. Sanjay.
The key grip, Sanjay Sami, who I believe started working with Wes on Darjeeling Limited, he gave me this new appreciation for dolly work, working the way Wes works. The artistic precision is so important and something that I was very inspired by. So when I watch now one of Wes's films, I can feel the emotional investment of the movement of the camera.
I've sat in on dinner time conversations between Wes and Sanjay when they have been discussing a shot which is seemingly impossible. And Sanjay will eat his dinner and go, okay, leave it with me, I'm gonna figure it out. And he does. And that is a massive, massively important collaboration. They're reinventing the wheel all the time.
This film is very much in love with creativity. It's in love with artistry. And
this is, I think, Wes's forte, is just the attention to detail.
We always say we can't understand how he manages to do it, but this one is really, truly something else.
Kind of blown away when I saw the movie. Like, how did he do it?
I remember when I first started doing movies, I mean, it was sort of, can we do this? We have a great group of people, and I don't feel like I even bother to say that anymore.